Hey, everybody. Hope all is well. We're going to open this up to questions and answers. So, a little Q&A. Anything goes. So, go ahead and unmute yourself or type in. Fire away.
Hey, Greg.
Hey.
It's Tracy. How are you doing?
Doing good.
Good. I have two things. One, we will be traveling during WESOC, and so there's also an eclipse at the time. And a friend of mine told me that she had read that you don't need to do a lot of manifesting when there's eclipse because it's too much energy. And I'm thinking, well, it's already a lot of energy. It's WESOC. So I guess I wanted to get your opinion on that.
You're getting my opinion on what is it?
WESOC, and there's also an eclipse.
But what part are you asking about?
Somebody said that if you don't need to do as much manifesting when there's a full moon with an eclipse, because the eclipse energy is so, it can cause chaos instead of our normal. And since this is WESOC, which means the strongest full moon of the year, I just wondered what you're
talking about, just like your goals and your projects and things?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm going to do it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I would still work on your goals and consecrate them, even if it's not like that night. I think in Central Time, it'll be 11:14 is the peak Sunday night. And so, you can wait till the next day if you wanted, but.
Okay. Thank you. I thought the same, but wanted to ask.
Like, I mean, it's WESOC. Like, WESOC's going to be intense, as always. And so, for those of you who don't know, WESOC is the peak of the full moon that comes up in May, and it's the strongest full moon of the year. And so, a lot of spiritual energy comes in. It comes in about a 7 to 8 minute window, right at the peak of the full moon. And so, the full moon and prior to that is associated with Christ. This one is associated with Buddha. And then the one in June will be associated with like the hierarchy. And so people all over get together and meditate at that particular time to physicalize that energy. So it is not just about helping the person evolve, but being a channel for that energy to physicalize on Earth. And so, I mean, just with that explanation, I would say like physicalizing and manifesting it either a day before, day of, the day after, any of that's good. Okay. It's strong. So
thanks, Greg. And my second question.
Hope you have a good travel.
Thanks. I'll text you where I'm going to be during WESOC because okay. I don't want to make people jealous. So and my second question is, I've been having like a lot of pain and discomfort and dizziness and vertigo. And it seems to be like the nuchal ligament and up into the occipitals that tends to be the place that it just,
Right. So anytime you have dizziness and vertigo, like you want to look at the sternocleidomastoid and the breath. Like opening up the breath. Still that nuchal ligament, that whole back area can play a role in that. So I would say take like vetiver and put it on your fingertips and rub it all along the base of the skull and up around the medulla area. And then you can rub it like on where the shoulder and neck kind of come together.
Can I use the vetiver ointment from the class? Or should I do straight?
I would do straight, but if you didn't have that, you could use the ointment. It just might take a little longer. Like, I really get it in there and rub it into those spots. But that could work. And then from there, deepen your breath with like the bronchioles blend with hyssop, with larch, Sitka, something like that.
What about the breathe easy? I just got it.
That's not so much for deepening the breath. That's more for like inflammation and things like that.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Okay.
Yeah, it's for reducing inflammation.
Okay. Thank you, Greg. I
You're
appreciate
so
it.
welcome. Have safe travels.
Thank
Enjoy
you.
Woodstock. Yeah.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Barbara, then Megan.
Hey, Barbara.
Hey there. I've been trying to organize some of my vast array of oils, and I think it was the Modern Living class, and there's a generic pain relief ointment. And I wondered, that seems different from the class a couple of weeks ago. Is that for nociceptive pain, or is that, I've kind of
It
forgotten
just says
what that is.
pain relief.
It's pain relief
Yeah.
ointment.
Yeah, that's for nociceptive pain, just like that dull, achy pain. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
You're so welcome.
And go ahead, Megan.
Hey, Megan.
Hey, Greg. I had a question for someone that can't be here today, but it's a student, and I don't think she'd want her name because her work and the internet and stuff. I know you post these, but just just use your clairvoyance. It's fine. So she has tinnitus has been the latest thing, but she has had a history of just like probably what I think would fall under brain fatigue, just like memory stuff. And then I think her longer term history has had a lot of trauma. And then she has like prosperity, financial materialization kind of difficulties. So I'll tell you what I told her really quick, because I think I remember in your sleep and memory class, you saying that this brain function segment at the beginning of the memory segment would be good for brain fatigue. And I think you said tonight was connected with brain fatigue.
Tinnitus usually is, yeah, like we hear it in the ear, but it's actually not the nerves of the ear. It's misfirings in the brain that we end up hearing in the ear. And so like back in the 50s, they did this thing where people who had really super chronic tinnitus, they went in and surgically severed the nerves to the ear. So the person knew that they were going to lose their hearing, but the tinnitus was so bad that they thought, if we do this, at least they have the silence and not the ringing in the ears. And what happened was they lost their hearing, but the ringing continued. And so it is misfirings in the brain. So you have some choices. You can do that protocol. Like sometimes even if you just need to really pump up the brain very quickly, sages work really good for that. Dalmatian sage, Dalmatian sage, like clary sages don't do it. Regular sage would kind of do it. Spanish sage, probably not strong enough. The sage triloba, it's kind of a newer sage. That or the Dalmatian sage are your two best bets. You could use the Blue Mountain sage, but it's really expensive for what it is. I would use that more for meditation and ceremony and things like that. But the other ones are very good for strengthening the brain. Then the other things are, rosemary, basil, petitgrain, things like that can be fortifying. I also like to use, like if the brain fatigue is really bad, I usually have them in just a little bit of time, like a couple of drops a day, or like cinnamon leaf, or cinnamon supreme, something like that, and just taking little bits over a period of time can be really rejuvenating to the brain.
Okay.
And so the other thing is when there's a lot of ringing in the ears, is also always look at the Ming Men, the low back area. And you can put something kind of cleansing on there, like a eucalyptus or Palo Santo or something like that. But a lot of times what I do is I put like yarrow or dark blue tansy or German chamomile or something, just to kind of, shrink it up.
Okay.
If that makes sense. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Sent me a text. Let me just make sure I got the gist of it.
Yeah, and so like for the trauma, like kind of It depends on what you're trying to do. Like if you're just trying to clear some things out and stabilize them, kind of a quick and easy way to clear out trauma is rotate back and forth between galbanum and helichrysum, and then just do like basic first, and then front heart, back heart. And it's not super deep, but it still cleans things up enough to where they feel good, they're functional. It clears things out, it allows them to function, you know, like sometimes when you're doing the deeper work, you would have to do some things more involved. But if you're just trying to stabilize somebody, get them through something, or they're kind of new to all of it, and sometimes people maybe don't have the patience to go through it and treat something, you know, so you have to just hit it little bits at a time. It's a good way to do it. You know, just hit it with galbanum and then helichrysum and galbanum and helichrysum. And so in 10 or 15 minutes, you can make a lot of progress.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then with the sage that you mentioned, I also need a lot of this myself. I just don't have tinnitus, but memory issues. And I do have
memory. I would like if you're not having brain fatigue issues, like rosemary would be like daily inhalation of rosemary.
Okay.
But the sage, it's either Dalmatian sage or sage triloba. That you would inhale and put several drops on your wrist. And then I usually have them do like once or twice a week, a salt bath with it. About 20 drops.
Okay. And would these things help her a little bit with sleep? Because that was the other thing I forgot. Having pretty significant, insomnia along with all that other stuff. Would this also help that?
Excuse me. For sleep. I mean, you could try it. It wouldn't be in my top 10, but a lot of times I do those things more in the morning than in the evening. So if you're trying to shoot for sleep, you know, a good combination, like you can start by, you know, just if you're just trying to do something where it's not getting them to follow a protocol, like put something like vetiver or like spikenard is usually the first choice, like on their feet.
Okay.
And then that if you have access to that blue healer tonic, have them rub it on like their back or legs, neck, just wherever they can get it, chest, abdomen. The thing with the blue healer is it calms down the immune system, like it calms down agitation in the immune system. And it doesn't clear lower emotions, but it calms lower emotions. And so a lot of times when you put it on in a short amount of time, the body just starts unwinding a little bit.
Okay.
And so if they're having a hard time falling to sleep, then you can just have them smell, you know, spikenard or sleep support or lavender or, you know, anything like that. And that will usually knock them out.
Okay.
Personally, if I have like if they put the blue healer on me, I usually conk out within 10 or 15 minutes. Just, it could be 7 o'clock at night and like I'll conk out. Like it just knocks me out.
That sounds great for me too.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
awesome. And then I was hoping I could get you to scan my client. I've been working on for a while. This is the same lady I've talked to you about before, but we've had tons of progress. I could list like so many things that have gotten better, but what hasn't really shifted is her eyesight. And it's not a nearsightedness or farsightedness thing. It's like, they're telling her it's neurological. Everything that she has, by the way, the doctors say is just psychosomatic. It's like no diagnosis. And so that seems to be neurological. It's just a big mystery, but she can't track things. She can't watch TV really. She just can't really see, but she can't use glasses because that even makes it worse. So we've tried everything. I mean, every chronic healing thing that I know of, I have tried. And and the other one is like the GI stuff. Digestion, food sensitivity.
Right. And so what's the emotional state and stress levels these days?
So all of that is much, much better. Like a lot of old, very, very severe things in childhood and all that are much better. She doesn't think about them. It feels really cleared out, but she still feels panicky quite a bit. She just feels like anxiety. Like she took a long trip in the car to see her new grandchild, and it kind of took everything she had to just take that journey, of 30 minutes or something like that. She doesn't really leave the house much at all. She was bedridden for 5 years, but now she's at least like doing regular stuff inside the house, like cooking, cleaning, and
And I can't remember, do you use oils with her or you're doing other things?
she's not into it. I bought her long time ago, and I just pressured her to open her tarragon, at least just like take some inhalations of that. And she's just really, she just is like, I found pranic healing and that's working, and doesn't feel comfortable with like other new things really,
Okay.
but
That's
she,
fine.
and also she has a lot of weird reactions to things. So she was really concerned if she smelled an oil, she would have a severe, kind of crazy reaction. And that didn't happen. So nothing bad happened. So I'm just trying to like gently get her to
Yeah, I get it.
on
Yeah,
the bottom of your feet. She doesn't even want to do that. I'll be able to
right. Yeah,
do
yeah.
that.
I get it. Yeah. Uh, I'm gonna go out of the box with this one a little bit.
Please. Thank you. Yes.
And so what I'll have you do is when you're doing healing, right? Clean the arms and legs, but you're gonna focus on gamma brainwaves.
Okay.
Like when you clean the arms and legs, it's like, okay, forming the intention, you're cleaning out gamma brainwaves.
Okay.
And then after that, it will flush out a lot of energy that was the byproduct from other people, because that's the issue. It's hitting certain parts of the brain and making the brain and lower emotional stuff it's just agitated, but like if you don't clean it up, even if you get certain things better, like that piece is just always there. It's always agitating, and so it will sink back in again. And so each of the brain waves, I haven't really talked about this very much, but each of the brain waves kind of unwinds a certain kind of energy, and the gamma waves will unwind some of the energy that came from like conflict with other people, or aggression, things like that from other people.
Okay.
And
Just a second, right before you were talking about agitation, did you say her brain is agitated, or did you say gamma waves are agitated?
part of her nervous system, part of her nervous system and part of her endocrine system are very agitated. I mean, it's better than it was, but like with the things that you're describing, like sometimes it will start to fall in place, but for some reason it's not in this particular situation. It happens. There's sometimes no rhyme or reason, and so form the intention, do the arms and legs, all the joints, focusing on just cleaning out. We use electric violet brainwave stuff. And then after that, whatever comes out, it's going to come out of her solar plexus, her crown, her basic, and her spine.
Okay.
Yeah. If there was a lot of like hitting when she was young, it will come out of her basic more. If there was sexual things, it will come out of her sex chakra as well.
Okay. It's everything you can think of. So
Yeah.
it's everything. Thank you.
Yeah.
And then go ahead, Ralph, then Kathy.
Hey, Ralph.
Hey, Greg, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. How about you?
I'm doing great. I got my cinnamon oil and I've been having fun with it.
Oh, good, good, good.
I'm finding that I personally like putting a drop of cinnamon oil in my coffee in the morning.
Yeah, that was great. Yeah.
Okay. So there's no problem doing that.
No,
Okay.
no, I would say maybe cutoff is like maybe 3 or 4 drops. Like one drop is nothing. Like
Yeah.
that's a good way
Okay.
to start off a day, and it's makes your coffee nice and tasty.
Yes, it does. My wife was saying that the cinnamon oil reminded her of clove.
It can a little bit, you know, especially when it's in the oil form. When you smell just the herb, not so much, but the oil can be a little, you know, they're both like a strong kind of dominant scent.
Yeah.
And so, or taste in this particular case, but yeah, it kind of can, but yeah. And the leaf is much softer than the bark. The bark is really strong.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
How about using clove and cypress together in a glass of water?
What would you be doing that for? I'm just curious.
Cypress for gums,
Uh-huh.
and I'm getting full of things that I'm drinking in the morning, so I'd like to put it all in one glass.
Right.
And then the
and
clove for my thyroid problem I'm dealing with.
I would probably do those separate then. Yeah.
Okay.
Like it could be like 2 minutes apart though.
Okay.
Like just do like a little shot of one and then give it like a minute or two and then do a little shot of the other one.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah. The cypress and clove combination is kind of interesting. Good for the mouth and the teeth and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
But like as soon as you mix the cypress and the clove together, it won't target the thyroid quite as much.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Also, I've been noticing this for a while, so I thought I'd ask about it. In doing the processes, sometimes I can zone out and completely lose which chakra I'm supposed to be focused on because I get so far out into the ozone.
Sure.
So is there any input aside from have a good time out there?
Have a good time out there. Like, and if the body's a little bit tired or something, just lean into it, let your body rest, and then wake up. And you know, yeah, like I'm game for that.
Okay.
You know, if you're really trying to power through something, that's one thing. But you know, you're going through it, you're doing it, you're unwinding, and you kind of space out, and you either have a nice meditation process or you unwind and fall asleep. I'd just lean into it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Good. Thanks.
You know,
Have a good one.
the older we get, the more like when sleep comes, like you got to like not waste it. Like I'm gonna jump all over that.
Okay. Right.
That's just my personal philosophy, but you know.
Okay, good. Thanks.
Yeah, you're so welcome.
Go ahead, Kathy, then Chris.
Hey, Kathy.
Hi. First of all, I took the immune class, but I was hardly on it because I work weekends. So I just wanted to thank you for the beautiful kit. I mean,
Oh yeah,
like
my pleasure.
oil's exploding. I have it on a little tray up in my workout area. So I just wanted to say that. Secondly, I'm feeling lately some indigestion. Like,
Okay.
like almost I want to, my food is, I don't eat that much. I'm not a heavy eater. I just drink my protein drink and my supplements, and I just feel like everything wants to kind of come up. Now I'm having to take more medicine for this face pain. So I don't know quite how to address that. Also, I was taking enzymes, and then my chiropractor told me if you take too many enzymes, except, you know, something basic that doesn't have all the different ones in it, your pancreas will quit working on its own. So she recommended against that.
Okay. Let's see. So a little bit of indigestion. So you have a couple. I would say a couple of choices. Like, which of the tonics were we using? Which tonic were we using for that?
Probably the ginger.
The ginger tonic. So we were using the ginger tonic and vinegar, apple cider vinegar. You know, we have that Apothecary Geek vinegar ginger tonic that's on the site. You could also just put some ginger in like some water and drink it. I do like the vinegar with it though. That would work. Or you could kind of flip it and do from the health food store, get some aloe vera juice and just, like a small amount, and just drink that. The other trick is to eat like a slice of an apple right before you go to bed. And sometimes that will actually knock out the indigestion.
Like a small slice or a quarter of an apple or?
Yeah, like a quarter of an apple. Yeah.
Okay.
Not the whole thing, just like a slice. And
Okay.
yeah.
Now, I do, at night, I remember to do this. That I have ginger oil and I was taking that for either basil or ginger for headaches, but I know it's good for digestion. So at night I've been taking a couple drops in water, and I take a fair amount of oils, just a couple drops. Could I be taking too many oils internally? Would that cause
if you're doing a bunch, make sure that you're taking it with a bunch of water, and maybe just even give it a day or so, just to let it rest and just see. Other oils, if you're already doing ginger and you're still having that issue, you could try like cardamom. You could try
cardamom oil.
Yeah, like cardamom. I especially if you're doing it at night, I wouldn't do peppermint. Like for something like that, I stay away from peppermint, just because if you take it a couple hours before you go to bed, it relaxes the sphincter on the stomach, and when you lay down, the stomach acid goes up the esophagus a bit. So I usually stay away from that too much. So I usually kind of stay in that realm of like ginger, cardamom, something like that.
Is that true though? If I take enzymes, that might interrupt the pancreas? Because I try to take less, but right now my face pain is bad, so I've been taking some.
Yeah. Are you taking wobezymes, or you're just taking?
Well, I actually have that, and I was taking that for a while off and on because I heard you mention it long back, and so I do a pendulum now, trying to get my mind out of it, and it always says it's good for me. So I take a couple of those.
I've had people use that for long periods of time. I mean, I understand what your chiro is saying. Like, anytime you start doing something and doing some of the work for the body will start to go, I don't know if I need to do this, and starts to not do it. But, you're also doing it for pain management. And the digestive enzymes with the wobezyme, it's best to do it like in between the meals. And so I think you might be okay there. But if you want to give it a little break for a little bit, I mean, you are getting some anti-inflammatory benefit from that, and so it would be hard to just say like I don't want to do it.
So a couple tablets a couple times a day.
Yeah, that should be fine. Yeah.
Is there something good for the pain? I mean, I don't take a lot. I take Galvamin every day for the pain in my face. I usually take black seed oil, and I took ginger oil, and I might take either Palmarosa or something. So, I mean, I might take 5 at the most and a couple of drops.
I do that and even a little bit more, and don't really seem to have an issue. But I mean, if you want to take a break off the oil for a little bit, just for like a day, just to see if it helps a little bit. I mean, the thing to do is just, you can always add it into more water, and that should diffuse it enough to where, you might have to spread it out just because you're drinking more liquid, but that should diffuse it quite a bit. So the only time I've ever had something where it has gotten irritated is I've done something like lemongrass, and I didn't mix it with water. I just put it on my tongue, and it irritated, that area. But, that's a no-no. Like I should have put it in water, and even other oils I can do that with, but there's a handful of oils that it's just too strong. And
I always put them in water, just enough to.
Yeah, that's the best way to do it. Yeah.
Okay, and you said the tonic has the apple cider vinegar already in it, so I'll order that.
Yeah, it's got the herb of ginger, and it also has ginger essential oil in it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. And Samantha makes that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then go ahead, Chris, then Megan again.
Hey, Greg. It's Chris.
Hey,
how are you?
How are you?
Good. Just wanted to give you an update on the hip, especially some of the oils. So I've been using the helichrysum basically for a month, ever since I was able to take the bandages off after the first 2 weeks, and I was probably applying it 2 to 3 times a day. And, I would notice steady progress after the second week, but I have to say in the last week, what was left of the swelling on one side of the long incision on the posterior, it is literally shrank and gone away, and that scar is fading and healing so nicely.
Oh, good.
It's just incredible. I noticed last week that it had decreased, and then within a couple days it went down by about 50%, and then I was looking last night, and the swelling is pretty much gone. So just phenomenal with the helichrysum. So thank you for suggesting that.
Yeah,
and
you're so
including it in the kit.
Yeah.
And then I also with the I've been using the basil and the black pepper on that upper quadricep muscle on the left side, because it's still fatigue. It atrophied a little bit, but it's just sore from the surgery. So that's been helping too. With the recovery, and
better.
when I get up from a sitting or laying position, I'm able to get moving a lot quicker than I was even a couple weeks ago, because I think that's when I started using it within the last week or two. And then also the last I wanted to mention was the using the basil also has kind of cleared up that little bit of brain fog that developed, and I don't know if that was kind of trying to develop back into a normal routine after kind of being in the patient recovery mode, but it's kind of helped diminish the fog a little bit and help me get back to a more normal routine. So I just wanted to share that with you.
Great. I'm glad you're doing so well, Chris.
Thank you. Yep. Okay. That was it. That was it. I wanted to share.
Thank you. Thank you.
Go ahead, Megan.
Hey, Megan.
Hey, here's a random question. I had a psychic reading. This person said, she was like listing my mental health issues and everything. And then she said, well, that's no surprise because spirituality and mental illness go hand in hand. And I didn't ask her why she said that. Do you agree with that? And why would that be the case?
Spirituality and mental illness.
Like spiritual people always seem to have like psychological trouble.
If you're doing meditation like improperly or things like that, you can sit and be meditating on your thoughts and things like that. But I would say for the most part, I would say I would have the opposite experience. People sometimes with mental illness also seek out spiritual practices, trying to heal something. So it's a weird statement.
Yeah, I couldn't think of a reason for that. Okay, I have a better question.
That sounds a little judgy.
I don't know. Well, she considers herself very spiritual, and she also talks about her stuff. So maybe
maybe it's a little projection.
Like that's true for her. But one of your class booklets, I forget.
Is her name Hector Projector?
No. Yeah, it was interesting. Like I don't know if this applies, if this is helpful for anybody, but the second session I had with her, I made longer. I did a longer option because I had, still some questions, and I thought it'd give us more time. And I realized that the extra time kind of got filled in with like her opinions about like life. And I was like, I actually don't need that. I just want you to like tell me stuff I don't already know. Back was chatter in there, but one of your booklets, you say that I forget which one, it was an old class, I think it said in some text that like the first few looks at something as in like a health condition are usually wrong.
Yeah.
Is that correct? Why does that happen?
It's usually wrong. It can be partially right, but you want to go through and keep questioning, because a lot of times we look at a situation and we form an opinion, and then we just kind of go from there as if it's like 100% accurate. And so be it a health issue or in business, so a lot of times I talk about it more in a business setting, that the first couple looks at something are inaccurate. And it doesn't mean that it's completely inaccurate, but there's still you processing information and getting to it. And a lot of times when you're looking at something, we will get caught into the whys instead of what it is. And so be it in business or in the health issue. And a lot of times the why, sometimes it can be helpful, a lot of times it's not. And so with that, it just keeps you refining your look at something so that you're always gathering information and refining your perception of what's happening. And so rarely does somebody usually knock it out of the park right off the bat, you know?
Yeah.
And so I used to think that because I didn't get something figured out right off the bat, that there was something wrong with me. And then, you know, having talks with teachers and things, I realized that no, that's just normal. I just was real super
Right.
judgy about myself.
Right.
Yeah. So
It's hard when you're a healer. It's like you just start to worry. You know, you want to help the person, you want to help them as soon as possible.
Yeah.
And so
you still
it's
shoot
like,
for that, but just
should be better now. I feel bad.
no. You should, I mean, it's always good to shoot for that, but I'll always think big picture. You know, I always try to do as much as I can for somebody with the time that we have, or in a session or something like that. But also a lot of times it is more of a big picture approach. And, you know, especially if something's chronic, if you go into it knowing like this is going to take a little bit, you can form really effective long-term strategies. But when you're always just trying to knock it out of the park every time, it keeps being just these really short-term strategies that just like accumulate over a period of time. And they still get better, but with things that are really chronic, you really want to start setting like really long-term strategies about like, we're going to deal with this, then we're going to deal with this, then we're going to deal with this. You know, you kind of start being really super methodical about what you do. And, you know, sometimes the patient might stay, sometimes they don't, but still you're doing the approach that you know is going to produce the result. And, you know, if they can hang in there,
because
great.
they want like relief from what is painful or bothering them, and like getting that relief might make them feel better in the short term, but it doesn't really make progress over like their
There's nothing wrong with stabilizing them right off the bat. Like nothing wrong with that at all. Like in fact, that usually is the first step, is, you know, stabilizing. And so if they're in crisis, if they're in pain, if there's a lot of inflammation, if there's a lot of, you know, trauma or stress or something, that all needs to be addressed. And then as everything starts to calm down, then you put in the long-term treatment.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
helpful.
Yeah.
And someone was asking from an earlier question, which cinnamon oil can we drink in water? I have cinnamon bark, leaf, and supreme.
Yeah, you can drink all of them. Yeah. I'd probably start with the leaf just because it's the gentlest for ingesting, but you can drink them all internally. The bark is substantially stronger. The supreme is leaf and bark and cassia and another form of tamala, and then another form of kind of cinnamon that's really soft. So you could start with the leaf, then work up to the supreme. And if you just still feel you need a really power punch, you can do the bark, but the bark is a bit strong.
And if you guys have any questions, you can unmute yourself, you can raise your hand, you can type into the chat. Yeah, go right ahead. Yeah. You're muted. Go ahead. Yeah.
I can always keep going. I have a list. Just lost my train of thought. Oh, it wasn't on here. Yeah. And Greg, one time you were talking about in chronic healing, when there's a lot of illness or disease, you need to actually lower the vibration of your energy a little bit so that you can kind of pull all that old stuff out. So I have, like, I got a smoky quartz, for example. Can I hold it in one hand and heal with the other hand? Like, would that lower it?
You use it.
Just need to use it. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, and it's not like made in the perfect fashion that Master Choa, designed for crystals, but it does have a point on the end. Is that kind of good enough? Otherwise, I don't
flat,
know.
It's flat on the bottom.
No, it's a Vogel. Have you heard of that before?
Oh yeah, yeah.
On Etsy, I don't know.
It'll be a little contaminating.
Oh, and then
Yeah.
as an extractor crystal and programmed it for
Yeah,
chocolate.
you could do it for
Okay.
that. Sure,
So
sure.
that'll work better than like
Yeah, like
vibrating.
needing to lower the vibration sometimes make the color either a solid or like medium color.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. So I can just do that.
Mhm.
Okay. And then I thought, should I put like 2 fingers on my navel chakra? Does that do it? I don't know. Just brainstorming.
That physicalizes it a little bit more, but I just change the color, like make it solid or a medium color. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I never darken the color. It's just not in the back of my mind, because they don't guide you on when in the classes.
Yeah.
Tell
Long
you
time ago.
here's the case, where you use that. So I don't know anybody that ever does it. So.
Yeah, a long time ago we were taught that. They don't teach it anymore.
Gotcha.
And then go ahead, Wendy, then Deborah.
Hey, Wendy.
Hey, Greg.
Hey.
First of all, oh my God, that class last weekend was dynamite. And
Good.
my first goal, which was about connecting to a spiritual presence, amazing things happened. I got led to, I was working with Saint Germain.
Oh, tremendous. Yeah.
Something didn't feel right. I don't know. It's just, it's like, I don't know. I don't know. And so I did a little research on Amazon and picked up Peter Mount Shasta's books on Violet Tara. And that felt wonderful.
Oh, good.
And so I'm real happy. I'm real happy with that. And it worked great. Now, on another topic, I've been taking Vitex for the hot flashes. I tried the anise, it worked a little bit, and then I thought, I don't know. So I got some Vitex, and I've been taking that, and the hot flashes are shorter and lighter.
Yeah.
So
And it will continue. Like the thing with Vitex is it's the longer you use it, the more effective it becomes. Like, because you're shifting something in the endocrine system.
Yeah.
And so, that you're already having a reduction in the symptoms. Now it's just keep doing it. You don't even need to increase the dosage, just keep doing it consistently for a while, and it will continue to knock that down.
That's great. Now, the other thing is that I also decided that I should try some clove oil to balance out my thyroid.
Sure.
And putting that in water turned out not to be such a hot idea. I burned my lips once and I thought, all right, we need another. So I've been putting it in a capsule. Now, I never hear you talk about capsules.
Yeah. That was going to be my next suggestion, is like put it in a empty gel cap. And then add a little bit of like olive oil to it or something, and then just, pop it.
Yeah. Well, I've been doing it without the olive oil and I haven't had any problem.
Oh,
I've been doing the same thing with the Vitex. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Vitex is nice because you can take it internally, but even if you just put a little bit on your temples or on your wrist, it still will work. So, where like you're trying to treat the thyroid with the clove, you do have to kind of take that internal. Like, just inhalation or topical doesn't really cut it. you know, it
Yeah.
does other things, but it won't really
No,
treat the thyroid very
no,
well.
I'm happy
But
with
you
that.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm not always good with oils on my skin. I used some spikenard liniment spray
Mhm.
on my feet. And I did it not every day, but every couple of days. And all of a sudden my toes started to itch and I thought, oh
Yeah,
no.
you know, with that, like I'll have to go back and look at my formula book. I'm probably add a bit of magnesium to it, and it's probably more the magnesium than the
Ah,
spike. And
okay,
so
yeah, I have some of that. Yeah.
yeah. So
Okay.
if that's the case, let me know that like when you order stuff that you have magnesium sensitivity, and I can just make things without it.
Ah,
Yeah.
well, yeah, let me experiment a little. I figured I
Okay.
could also, as long as I keep it away from my toes,
Yeah.
I
But
can
that,
spray
but
it
that's
on the soles, but
that's usually what happens with magnesium is it will make something a little bit itchy, or if you put the like the pure brine on there, it you know, it relaxes the muscle and everything, but it almost will cause like these little tiny like marks. And so like when I add magnesium to things, I only do about 15% of the, you know, the carrier as
yeah.
magnesium, just because straight magnesium is just, it's a little too strong. Like it causes skin irritation too easily. But I mean, I like the benefit of the magnesium, but like I cut it with a carrier oil.
But what I was using was spikenard extra in,
Yeah, I don't know
in
that I
body.
added magnesium to that one actually.
I don't think it's magnesium. I mean, I've had that
Yeah,
reaction to oils
yeah,
before, so that I
that's
don't,
probably the oil then. Yeah, because
yeah,
that one I don't think I added magnesium to that.
that's why I didn't take the immune class,
Mhm.
because I thought, nah, I don't think so.
Yeah, and that
Okay,
was a lot of topical things. Like if you
yeah,
have a sensitivity, you would have had to broke that class up in like many days, because I mean we
yes.
were really going for it. Yeah,
Yeah, no, you said, that's what you said. And I thought,
yeah,
no,
yeah,
I'm an inhale girl.
yeah.
Anyway, thank you, thank you, thank
You're
you.
so welcome. You're so welcome.
Yeah.
And then go ahead, Deborah.
Hey, Deborah.
Hi.
Hey.
I too want to just say thank you for last weekend.
Oh, good. Yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed.
Yeah. I think that'll have ramifications for a long time for me. And I have been really curious for a while about the difference between King of Pain and pain relief.
Okay. Yeah. So pain relief is for how about we'll visit several of the pain things. And so regular pain relief is for what you would call nociceptive pain, which just simply means like dull, achy pain. And nociceptive pain is usually tied to stagnant movement of lymph in the body. So basically an area in the body, either due to strain, sprain, you know, mechanical wear and tear, you know, poor circulation in that particular area. It's usually a little bit of a sprain strain, by the way. The lymphatic system is not removing toxins in that area like it should. And so there starts to be like deposits in that area that make it kind of achy, and then it starts to cause the muscle to go in like a kind of spasm of sorts. And so the regular pain relief is a pain reliever, but it also has oils in it that are for calming down the nerves and then stimulating lymphatic movement. So you're trying to hit it all at once with that blend. Sometimes we augment it with things are a bit more antispasmodic, like doing lemongrass and a body tonic before, and then putting that, let it dry, and then put the pain relief ointment on top of it. Can be very, very helpful. But so pain relief is nociceptive pain. Then you have the pain relief Neuropathic, which is for nerve pain. And nerve pain is sharp, stabbing, tingling, prickly, like radiating, electrical feeling, things like that. And so this is usually a compression, like an impingement or an entrapment along the vertebrae, or sometimes as it's passing through a joint. And so it's it has an anti-inflammatory effect, again, antispasmodic. There's different kinds of spasms and contractures. And so it's a little bit more specific to nerve-related contractions. And then it is really has a lot of things that would be for specifically for nerve pain that's really sharp. So things like mint and clove and things like this that have a calming effect on the nerves. And then they also hope to open up the spine somewhat. You know, they'll relax the spinal muscles a bit. And so it takes some of the pressure off. Now, the thing with nerve pain is within a very short amount of time, it produces bronchial spasms. And so, you know, a lot of times with the nerve pain, we'll treat the nerve pain, but we'll also have them use things to unwind the bronchial, so that just doing that a lot of times will reduce the pain, you know, by 30–40%. Right? Then we have some psychogenic pain. And psychogenic pain, it means that there's some sort of emotional component, be it like stress or, you know, a lot of times with chronic pain, it can be frustration. So usually it's like some sort of like stress or frustration. The thing with pain is it does cause the body to produce the feelings of trauma. And so the psychogenic pain, still pain reliever, still anti-inflammatory, but it starts to target also some of the lower emotional components, which are physiological emotion, to offset the long-term effects of pain on the body and then eventually on the emotions. Personally, I tend to use the psychogenic one more than I use the other ones. I mean, I use all the different pain relievers. I go to the pain relief psychogenic just because, you know, it could be emotional pain. It could be people being aggressive towards you. And sometimes you're not even aware of what it is. Psychogenic pain relief is really good for that one. And then, you know, there's always that little bit of like, it's being magnified by stress. It's being magnified by, you know, just, you know, chronically being there. The body gets a little bit agitated and can cause some frustration. And, you know, so it just helps keep all of that calm. And so that's kind of my go-to one a lot. I mean, I rotate them, but, you know, it is what it is, and that's the one that seems to work for me the best. Then there's the pain relief that's for inflammation, the inflammatory pain relief, and that's just all the really super strong anti-inflammatory essential oils, be it for inflammation and fluid retention in an area, but also inflamed nerves, like anything that is inflammatory in nature, where there's like fluid that's holding in an area. It helps disperse the fluid. It does reduce some spasms as well, but it does everything by calming. It calms down the sensory nerves by flushing things out of the area. Because anytime the lymphatic system is congested, it makes the sensory nerve fire more rapidly. And so what happens is, in an inflammatory condition, is it starts hurting worse and worse because the body can become so toxic. And so it makes the nerve endings fire much more rapidly. Then you have the breakthrough pain, which is usually used as just a general pain reliever or to augment one of the other ones. And breakthrough pain is simply a time where pain really spikes. You know, like if you have some back pain and it's doing okay, you're managing it well, but all of a sudden, boom, it spikes up a little bit. So it's a little bit more, it's a little heavier on oils that are like mint based, because the mint slows down the rate of information, like the pain signals to the brain, like it slows them down. And so it basically reduces like when the pain is spiking, right? Then you have the Birch Complex, which again is a pain reliever. It has several different kinds of birch and wintergreen and galbanum, and it's got a bunch of funky things. And so very good for joint pain, very good for chronic like arthritic pain, but it's also very good for dealing with the agitation that comes from pain. And so I use that sometimes also to augment other treatments. And I don't even put it actually a lot of times on the spot itself. Like say my shoulder's hurting, I'll just put it on my wrist like this, and the pain starts to diminish because it's taking down the agitation that was in the body from being in pain. And if you can start to calm that down, a lot of time the pain levels will start to drop, right? And then King of Pain was something that was used for either really super chronic physical pains, things like chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, or really deep psychological pains, like you're really trying to process and let go of something that's like a deep like wound. And so it could be helpful for processing something psychologically, but like if you really have chronic physical pain, it's not meant to be something that you use every day. But when I'm using it, I use it like every day for like a week or two, and then I won't use it for a little while. And sometimes again I'll rub it on the spot, or sometimes I'll just sit and inhale it, and even just inhaling it will take the edge off a whole bunch. And, again, part of the issue is that like when we're in chronic pain or the body is really lymphatically congested, the nerves are just firing at such a rapid rate that it's overwhelming to the brain and starts to cause some brain fatigue. And so that particular blend calms down the rate that the sensory nerves fire and starts to have an impact on the brain, about like strengthening the brain. Like it's used to try to reduce the brain fatigue that can come from long-term, pain management, or just long-term being in pain. The joint relief is still in that realm as well, and that is for joints that are degenerating. So anytime that you have like an arthritic condition, cartilage is thinning, spasms in or around a joint, like if I take my finger and I pinch it right here, like within 2 hours of me pinching it, that joint above becomes pre-arthritic because I've cut off the blood supply, and it's already, that cartilage is dehydrating. And so if you have spasms in and around a joint, that is actually a precursor to an arthritic condition. So the joint relief helps to flush things out of the joint, increase blood flow to the area, and reduce spasms in the joint. So you could use it on your hand, your hip, your shoulder, whatever it may be. And then the Arthritic Care is for arthritic conditions where there's deposits. Now, deposits can happen in the tissue, not just in the joints, but most times we're dealing with deposits in the joints. And this is usually when there starts to be excessive fluids in the body as well. So you might have a little edema in the legs, or a little bit of edema in the arm or something like that. And you're starting to get crystalline deposits. You'll see them in the joints, more in the legs, in the back, on the heels, things like that. That's what it's used to treat. And then also like the thumb, like if like right in here, like the base of the thumb, you'll see sometimes deposits in that area as well. And so it's really good for that. It has oils in it that break up the deposits, but also oils that are diuretic in nature. So they help flush out some of the excess fluid. And the deposits, like if the deposits start to hit the bone, and they're calcium deposits and they hit the bone, you kind of are loosening up the tissue around it. But a lot of times the deposits are things that are floating around the joint and they haven't settled on those spots yet, or they have like a little, like they're encapsulated, and they still haven't like adhered to the joint itself, to the bone. And so it's a way to kind of break that up and flush it out of the area. So if there are already pretty substantial calcium deposits where you have spurring, it loosens up that tissue and helps the tissue not have the spur dig into the tissue. Right? But if there's debris floating around that joint, it helps flush the things out of that joint so that it doesn't settle in the joint and cause that achiness and things like that. Yeah.
Wow, that's really great.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's the thing. Like pain can be very complicated. There's still like 5 or 6 other kinds of pain, but like most times it's usually nerve pain or nociceptive pain. And then the one that usually comes after that is like arthritic or like some sort of inflammatory condition. And so usually those 4, nail it. And then the psychogenic pain because of the lower emotion. I always find that treating lower emotions with any sort of pain syndrome always makes the pain remedy work better. Like it just always does. And so like, that blend that we use a lot in some of the different classes, Gilead, that's actually what it was made for originally. Is I was using that to augment pain treatments. So, regardless of the kind of pain relief that I was giving the person, I would always include Gilead with that. And then I found that not everybody always needed it, but definitely with like sharper pains, you need it. But even some of that dull, achy pain, it can just wear on you, and then if you start to have like you have had a bad shoulder that you've been nursing for a decade or something, that kind of wears on you too. And so I use it. I try to minimize the things that I try to get people to use for things like this. So like it doesn't always make the top 4. I try to do it in 3 or 4 different things just because I don't want to make it super complicated. But in the old days, I usually would have 7 or 8 things that I would apply for a pain syndrome. Not necessarily an acute situation, but when somebody was managing something chronic, I would usually have them rotate several different things. And I just found over the years that it was too much to do. Like, people would end up not doing it because it was so complicated and so many different things. So I try to narrow it down to 3 or 4, and sometimes even just one thing. And so it depends on what it is. But Gilead makes it sometimes they don't. And so all Gilead does is just releases the lower emotions, the physiological emotions.
So that's really helpful, very, very helpful, because I'm doing inhalations of Gilead.
Oh, tremendous. Yeah, I do that almost every day.
Yeah. Okay. I'm doing it every morning.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have really, really bad, I carry my stress in my neck, and it's gotten down into my shoulder. So I bought the King of Pain, and then a healer told me to use pain relief, and I bought the pain relief, the ointment that you offered, as well as the regular oil, because I had read where you said, because it's a large area, right? And then it kind of radiates down to my hand and my elbow. I sort of get like a tennis elbow.
Yep.
And I had read where putting it in an ointment, the oil would stay longer.
Yeah.
But I heard you say contradictory tonight that it's much stronger if you just put the oil directly on rather than in the ointment. So
it actually depends on what, like in the case that you're talking about, I would probably do it more in the ointment. Yeah.
okay.
Like if you're that sounds like nerve pain, by the way, like what you're describing, where it's like in the neck and then it's starting to go in the shoulder and down the arm. So what also can make this complicated is it can be both like neurological pain and then the nociceptive pain, but both can be present. And
I think it is both for me.
Yeah. And so I would still continue to use that. Inhale the king of pain a lot, and from time to time put some in like 6-8 drops in with some like lotion or massage oil, and then rub it on the area as well. More of just like calming down the nerves and using it as like a way to step everything up, but not something you have to do daily, right? And then use something like the pain relief neuropathic, or take even just something like peppermint or spearmint and put a few drops on, and then rub it on the neck, part of the neck, like on the bones, like right where you know that it's at. Rub it on that area, because the thing is doing that will reduce some of the pain, and it will start to loosen up the spinal muscles, and so that has an anti-inflammatory effect. Now it is going to like kind of tingle for a little bit, and so if your skin is real sensitive, like add a little bit of oil or lotion to it, not very much, but just enough to kind of mix it together, and so that it's not completely neat, but rub it in on the area, and you could do that daily. And the other thing to keep in mind with that is do some sort of inhalation where it's reducing bronchial spasms. So the bronchial blend, hiss up, or larch, or Sitka, inhale something like that relaxes the bronchioles.
But I don't feel an issue with my bronchioles. So you're saying it probably exists?
Yeah, you
not...
won't be aware of it physically, but like if you've had that pain for more than 3 or 4 days, your bronchioles are going into spasm.
I've had this for years.
Yeah. So it's mechanically there. Like sharp pain produces spasms in the bronchioles.
Okay.
Yeah, and the good thing is like if you really work the bronchioles, the pain will reduce a lot of times by 30-40%. And the issue is that when the bronchioles are in spasm, your neck muscles have to work harder to elevate the rib cage, and your diaphragm goes into a kind of a spasm. And so when the diaphragm is tight, the direct correspondence is the spinal muscles, like these little muscles that go between the vertebrae, like they kind of crisscross and like do like this. They tighten up, and it puts more pressure on your spine. And so one of the treatments for nerve pain, anything where there's something radiating, is you want to take pressure off the spine. So opening up the bronchioles, doing long, slow, deep breaths, and relaxing the diaphragm, it actually loosens up the spinal muscles. They're called multifidi. The multifidi begin to relax, and it actually starts to create more space in the areas between the vertebrae, and just that starts to take pressure off the nerve.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what I understand is I have Hyssop Supreme. I could
that's perfect.
do inhalations of it.
Yeah.
I don't need to focus it particularly on anything.
No.
And how many inhalations would you recommend?
I would 15, 20, maybe even 25, somewhere in there. I mean, work it like daily. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I'm also working in the King of Pain. Is that correct?
Yes,
With
I would.
peppermint?
Yeah. Peppermint on the spine itself, King of Pain from time to time on the shoulder, and then inhale the King of Pain a lot. You could inhale, you could literally inhale that every day. It will take the edge off the pain substantially.
And that you're saying also would be 15 to 25 inhalations.
Yeah.
Okay. And I know sometimes in the past, you had told me not to multitask when I'm doing some of the inhalations, but is it bad if I am doing something and I'm also doing inhalation since I'm not focusing on anything particular?
Like, give me an idea of what you're doing.
Well, so I'm just trying to, so like if I'm at a stoplight.
Oh yeah, that's fine.
Okay, great. Because I'm looking for ways to work it in without spending my day.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, we do a bunch of them. Like when one of us is driving and the other one's in the passenger seat, we're usually in the passenger seat doing that, and yeah.
Okay, terrific. And then the tendonitis that I have in my elbow, I don't really need to do anything for it with I'm doing all this other. It'll naturally.
I suspect that it's the nerve, like from the neck and coming down.
Yeah. Okay.
So it should, like if you open that up, like it starts to take pressure off. Because the thing is like with a nerve, like when it comes from the spine, that's where the root is. But as it travels down, goes into your shoulder and down your arm, the weight of a nickel, like on the nerve, makes it puff up. And so then it gets a little like, so something tight, or there's a compression, or there's an impingement. And so it puffs up, and then it goes a little bit farther, and then it becomes more compromised easier and easier and easier, like, because it keeps puffing up, right? And so by the time it gets past the shoulder and starts to go into the elbow, you're starting to feel it. And then when it gets into the hand, it starts to get bad. And it's usually not the hand, it's usually up high. And so by unwinding the neck and the shoulder a little bit, a lot of times it takes the pressure off that nerve and it will resolve itself.
Fantastic. Oh, this is all such great information. Thank you.
You're so welcome.
And then go ahead, Sonia.
Hey, Sonia.
Oh, you were talking about long-term nerve pain can cause bronchial spasms.
Yes.
Can it also cause solar plexus and diaphragm spasms?
Diaphragm spasm, yeah. It can cause diaphragm. Solar plexus meaning like abdominal muscles or in the back, or?
The solar plexus hurts, and it's sharp, and then it goes around on the outside muscles, but then it'll go in and get the outside muscles, above the ribs, all the way around to the sides and sometimes to the back. And then the solar plexus is spasming, and then the diaphragm spasms, and then the sphincters to the stomach and duodenal go into spasm, and I can't hold down food.
And you're having some pain on the ribs themselves or in between the ribs?
It's like a real sharp, real heavy band from the solar plexus right below the breastbone around the muscles above the ribs around to the back, and then the diaphragm and the diaphragm, the solar plexus goes into spasm, and the diaphragm does, and then it can go into the.
Yeah, so it can cause that, but I suspect with what you're describing,
Some of it is I have a scoliosis, kyphoscoliosis, and right opposite in my spine to the solar plexus, there is a curve and a torque, and it tends to want to come out of a line, but it's also torqued, and the more torque and misaligned, the more I can't hold down food and the stomach spasms and all that. And it's from what the osteopath and the network chiropractor said is that it's old, it's from a birth injury, that it's caused the spinal curvature, and it will take a long while to correct the structural damage it's caused and the neuromuscular fascial stuff. They've been working on it since 2016.
Yeah, so I would do a couple of things. Reducing the bronchial spasms would be super helpful. Something severe like that. The bronchioles has like some of the oils that we were talking about, but it also has Anula and it has Ami Visnaga, which are very strong antispasmodics for the respiratory tract. And so I would suggest using the bronchial blend to go through and do it. But like, I think some of the issue, like, anytime that the solar plexus is involved, even, we're talking about pain, I'd also use the Gilead just to clear out the emotions. Because when you're having a hard time breathing, it's going to magnify stress. It's going to magnify lower emotions. It's going to, it's just mechanically what happens. Like it's not a reflection on the psyche. It is mechanically, physically what happens. But the other thing that I would say is over on the side, not quite on the armpit. It's on the side of the ribs. And I would suggest maybe looking this up on, go to that website, triggerpoints.net, points with an S, like triggerpoints.net. And the muscle that I'd like you to look up is the serratus anterior, like the anterior serratus. And it's this little muscle that kind of has like these little fingers that it's like on the front side of the scapula, like the shoulder blade, but it's on the side. And so what happens when that muscle really gets tight is it doesn't allow the rib cage to expand. Right? Like it doesn't allow the rib cage, like when you go through and you go, your chest kind of, your rib cage elevates and your chest kind of expands, and then you expel and it kind of comes back down. When those muscles have trigger points or they're really super tight, like you inhale, but there's no expansion. So it's just like it kind of goes up and then it just stops. And so you have like a shortness of breath that causes that, and it can cause like spasms in the rib cage, pain down into the solar plexus area. But a lot of times it will cause like a band to go around the body, or if it's just one side, sometimes people will complain of, how like when you're running and you get that stitch in your side. You can get like that stitch in your side, and you can actually even get it on both sides. And so even when you get that stitch in the side, the Anula actually will loosen that muscle up, sometimes just by itself, just by inhaling the Anula. It would take a while. It's not like it's going to be instant, but the bronchioles already has it in it. And so I would just work that. But I would put things that are antispasmodic over on the side. You could start with basil or marjoram. You could put, I would probably go more towards the peppers, like go to like a black pepper or pink pepper or pepper supreme. And like I'd put it on meat, like several drops, and then rub it in that area where you know that anterior serratus is. And do both sides, because I suspect that you probably have it on both sides. And that will almost like make space for the diaphragm to open up more, and it makes it easier for then the bronchioles to come out of spasm as well. It could have happened many years ago. It could be because of the structural misalignments that you have. It could be from excessive coughing. It could be from, you know, body posture when you are, you know, having to like hike or do something, or at a desk for long periods of time. There's all kinds of reasons why it could happen. The issue is that it's there. And so that muscle is one of the skeletal muscles that aids in respiration. And so if it's malfunctioning, then your body's ability to move the rib cage up and down, like when you're breathing, is compromised. And so then it just causes a whole chain reaction. And a little bit later, it will hit some of the really deep muscles in the neck, and it will actually start to cause paradoxical breathing, where your breath gets flipped. And so, you know, like if you like see my hands, and if I can bend my fingers and touch them on the top of my palms like that, you see how like they're like that?
Yeah.
Like that's okay. The neck is okay at that point. But if your hands kind of bend like this and you can't quite make them touch, you know, without bending them forward or whatever, then even that muscle deep in your neck is compromised. And still the bronchioles will unwind it, but I would start just unwinding the rib cage, like, you know, do the serratus anterior, and, you know, do the diaphragm, and even some of the muscles in the neck. Just start hitting everything neck, around the sides of the rib cage, and then the diaphragm itself. Yeah.
Okay, the birth injury torqued the atlas and the C1 that caused the spinal curvature. That is what they're telling me.
One of the things that you could add to it, I don't know if you did the class for regeneration of the immune system, but that
yeah,
digestive calm, remember that body tonic? Shake it up and rub it on your abdomen every night. Because the thing is that will help to relax the psoas, and it will help to relax the diaphragm as well. And so I would just keep rotating all this stuff. Yeah.
Well, my fingers touched, you know, when you curl them,
Okay,
they touch the
that's
tops.
a good sign.
But
Good sign.
my neck muscles are tight, especially the sternocleidos, especially on the left side. I've got a mild left side spastic paralysis that they're having a hard time getting it to release. So like, you know, it's kind of a confusing situation. And
yeah, but sometimes it's just like starting to dance with it. Like, you know, you're not gonna always find, like, if you do step 1, 2, and 3, it's gonna unwind. You just start unwinding things and seeing how things go. And definitely I would do the sides. Definitely I would do the bronchial blend for inhalation, unwinding the rib cage, and putting some things up, like not just here, but also at the base of the skull on the back. You know, just start unwinding the neck, just start unwinding all of that. Yeah.
Yeah. The other problem I have with the long, slow, deep breaths, it makes it worse. So like by the end of Saturday's classes, I'm losing automatic breathing. It's forced, you know, and the spasm.
That's the stuff on the side. Yeah.
The serratus.
Yeah. That thing can be a booger. Like, it will cause like pseudo like liver pain. It can cause all kinds of things down into the abdominal cavity. Causes that band. It causes a stitch in the side. Throws off the breath. And it's not even that big of a muscle. That's the ironic thing. Yeah. So I think we have time for one more.
Yeah, go ahead, Barbara.
Hey, Barbara.
Hey there, this has been a great session tonight. And speaking of multitasking with the oils, I often go through the the Vital Center blends during this session.
Oh, nice.
Yes. What is it about Fornix that automatically just makes me feel wow, like energized and alive? And what is it doing?
You know, it's going to be different for everybody. Like different oils will trigger something different, and so it's just one that probably you know, your body needs versus somebody else. Yeah. You know what one does it for me is I laugh. It's the uvula. Yeah, like it's something about the like relaxes the trachea for me, and man, like it just puts me into another world.
I remember having that effect with uvula during the class.
Yeah.
Yeah, but just every time I open the Fornix, it's like, whoa.
Yeah. Good for you.
Okay. Thank you.
You're so welcome.
And Troy, did you have a?
Yeah, we can still fit in one more. Yeah.
Maybe not. You're unmuted. I do have another. Corey, if you do, feel free to jump in. But someone asked in the chat, could you say a bit about the upcoming Self-Esteem series?
Yeah, so we're doing the Self-Esteem thing coming up this next weekend. It's part one. All three of them are going to be free classes that we're going to spread out over the next couple months. But part one has to do with the spiritual self, like the inner self, and it's tied to releasing cords, releasing situations, and disentangling from situations, detachment. But we're going deep on that, disconnecting from things that are negative, things that have entangled us, you know, be it because of work or bad decisions or just, you know, things that we didn't know. When, you know, you get tied up in situations that just have gravity to them and weigh you down, you know. And so that's tied to the spiritual self. And then the part two will be about the social self and how we interact with people and things like that. There we'll be doing actually a lot of work with releasing emotions and things from the spine. And then the third part has to do with the physical self. So it has to do with the body and also even like possessions. And so there we'll be doing a little bit of psychotherapy, but also materialization. We'll be doing some things. Each one's going to be very, very different. It's not like we're targeting different topics, but doing, you know, the same patterns. They're all going to be vastly different from each other. And so, you know, when I was thinking of like how to do the self-esteem part, it just became too complicated to try to do it all in a weekend. And, you know, the more I thought it out, I was like, let's just break it up to a one-day thing. We'll make it free and we'll just bop from one to the next, and then we can compile them and make them into a big booklet, but then you can do them at your own pace. And so, you know, we are doing some more things like how we did the abandonment class, things that are more like psychological issues, patterns, but things that we just all have. We're going to be doing more of those as free study group things throughout the year. And so.
And it is time.
Okay, so we're going to switch over to the angel class. Thanks for a great session tonight, you guys. And hopefully you can join us for Saturday for the self-esteem class. And if not, and you're a mom, happy Mother's Day this weekend and hope to see you next week. So hope to see you at some point. So we're going to go over to the angel class. We're posted. Everybody's welcome, and see you in a minute or two.